Philadelphia Eagles entered the 2008 draft knowing what they've got on the defensive side of the ball, and they're pretty well stocked. They're just a couple positions where they need help. Starting with the defensive line, of course, they've got Trent Cole at the right defensive end, and he's an all-pro, great pass rusher. Gives a little bit when it comes to size-wise, but he's one of the best pass rushers in the game, so he will be on the field as much as possible. There will be times when they'll try to give him and spell him, and they can do that at times because they've got an excess of pass rushers. You got Clemons, who they grabbed from the Oakland Raiders. They got him in. He'll be backing him up. He'll also be playing the left side, so he's a tremendous pass rusher. Victor Abiamiri will be starting at the left defensive end. He has got the best size of their defensive ends, and he's got to develop as a pass rusher, but he can play against the run. Big physical defensive end, Victor Abiamiri. Juqua Thomas will be backing up at the ends. He will be a situational pass rusher, a guy with who's one of those tweeners who's able to cover backs and tight ends out of the backfield in situations, but he can definitely rush the passer, especially when he's fresh and not playing full time. Darren Howard is still on the roster, and he can back up at the defensive end spot. He'll also move inside, and you'll see him rushing the passer as a defensive tackle on pass rush situations. So that's pretty much the situation they have with their ends, with the Abiamiri, Thomas, and Howard, Trent Cole, Clemons, and they could draft somebody at that position. But they're pretty well set there. At the defensive tackle position, you've got Mike Patterson, who had a good year in 2007, very active, very quick. He gets a lot done. He does a good job of fighting the double teams, and he gets penetration, a pretty good pass rusher as a defensive tackle, but he needs to get some rest. You can't have him on the field too much. He doesn't have the great size. You've got Brodrick Bunkley playing the other left defensive tackle spot. He's a big, strong, powerful player who is able to take on the double team. Did a good job last year against the run, both he and Patterson, keeping people off of their linebackers. So they're pretty well set at the starters on the defensive tackle spot. But as backups, they're going to bring some people in and challenge Lawan Ramsey, who is one of the backups at the defensive tackle spot. You also had Kimo Van Hoffen. You've got him backing up at one of the defensive tackle spots, and they're going to bring some people in to test him to see if those guys can keep those positions. You look outside, and you've got at the linebacker position on the left side, or really on the strong side, the tight end side, Gocong, who's in his third year going into 2008. And he showed that he can play the position, and he got better and better as the season was going on. So they expect him to be there, and they got to let him get after the passer more, let him rush the passer. He's got a lot of talent, and he's just getting better and better. And so I expect him to show up with more big plays next year. Starting in the middle, I expect him to start Stewart Bradley, who's big, physical, played the last couple of games last year and showed that he can be a playmaker, both against the run and the pass. He's very physical, aggressive, bigger size than Omar Gaither, who they moved outside, and Bradley will be a force, I think, in the middle. Omar Gaither, who I mentioned, will be playing the will spot, off the ball, and he'll be playing away from the tight end. He's got great instincts. Probably the strength of his game is against the pass, and he's a guy who I think will get better and better. Take charge guy. They'll probably have him calling the signals. Omar's a very smart football player. Akeem Jordan backs up the linebacker positions. He can play inside and he can play out, and I think that people will see that he's a playmaker. This kid is looked good when he did get a chance to play last year. And then they grabbed Todd Boiman as a backup. He'll be playing on the special teams, and he will be backing up all the spots at the linebacker position for the Eagles. Now back in the secondary, at the left corner spot, you've got Asante Samuel. You know that they grabbed him as a free agent. He'll be taking over for Lito Shepherd. Samuel can do it all. One of the best in the league when it comes to breaking on the ball. He's a playmaker. They expect him to go in there and take over, and he will do that at the left corner position. At the right corner, you got Sheldon Brown, who had another solid year last year. He is Not a great corner, but he's a good, solid corner, tackles well, plays the ball well, smart, and he will be starting at the right corner position. At the safety, you'll be looking at Quintin Mikell as one of the starters. Quintin had an outstanding year a year ago, and you had Andy Reid talking about him being a Pro Bowl level player, so he'll be one of the safeties. And then you'll see Brian Dawkins as the other safety. And Brian has had a great career. The big question is, can he continue to do it? Will he be as effective as he's been in the past? And that's where you can see they will need help. So expect the Eagles to draft the safety that they want to have in there just in case Brian Dawkins can't do it anymore. And they've got to have him there to take over when Dawkins eventually does give it up. Backing up, you got Sean Considine, who I'm not crazy about, but he's the backup at one of the safety spots. You've got J.R. Reed, who showed that he can really be a pounder at safety, tackles well, doesn't have the best speed since he had the accident with his foot, but he is a solid backup, and I like J.R. Reed. I think he'll do a good job for them, especially as a strong safety moving up, so it's not as much of a speed thing. Backing up at the corners, you've got Joselio Hanson, who is the nickel guy, and he will continue to be that. I expect the Eagles to trade Lito Shepherd, so he won't be there on the team. But you see the weaknesses. Expect them to look in the draft for a safety. They'll be looking at the backup defensive tackle spot. They could do something there, and then they can always draft another pass rusher. But I like what I see with the Eagles defense. I think they'll be solid this upcoming year. You're going to see these younger players, I think, stepping up and playing even better than they did a year ago.
They told me all of the tickets were gone, so just take me